Suite Release 12. A 12.1.3 versus 12.2.3, which is the latest release from a functional perspective. Quick overview on data intensity. We've been established since 2001, so we've been around for longer than a decade. Headquartered in Bedford, Mass. We've got 12 global offices, founded to provide 24/7 application management focused on Oracle's product set, specialized skills across more than 30 Oracle products overall, purpose-built cloud platform engineered to support Oracle technology and applications, with a significant investment in security, compliance, and automation across the board. Data intensity, a quick overview of our resources is that we've got about 275 technical resources, 150 Oracle application DBAs, 140 plus hosting and application management customers, 3,000 plus databases and applications, 500 plus implementations across the board having been done with Oracle's E-Business Suite specifically, 3,000 plus upgrades across the board again with 40 full cycle R12s. We've been around long enough that we've been able to do even upgrades within the 11.0 to 11i type timeframes. 100 plus application data center migrations, in addition to all of the current work that we've done with the upgrades and implementations. Agenda. We're going to go through the E-Business Suite 12.2 general overview. We're going to do a quick timeline, support timeline, release 12 snapshot on a slide. It does change, so the information will be there now from what we've seen recently. E-Business Suite Release 12.2 functional enhancements will be itemized. We won't go through all of them, but they'll be there for you to reference. Implications to the Chemleys in 12.2, considerations for developers during the upgrade. Upgrading to 12.1.3 versus 12.2 type of discussion set of slides. Data intensities, release 12 services we'll go through, and then we'll leave time at the end for some questions and answers. We've also included a few slides and a timeout so that we can do a few polls, so that will be coming as well. Overall, 12.2 is enabling the high availability for global operations. So it now allows for online patching for reduced downtime. Oracle's WebLogic server as the new JDEE server. New functional enhancements have been added, as well as simplified user flows. So there's new interfaces, improved usability, improved mobile functionality. The support timeline. Here's the latest information that we currently have. So Oracle's lifetime support policy, there's a premier 5 years from the GA date, extended is 3 years from the GA date, and so given that information, 12.1 currently has an extended end date of December 2019, with a date already out there for 12.2 based on its GA date. We're going to do a quick poll currently right now to state and help us with what EBS versions are you on, so that we can help tailor some of the discussions we're going to be having. Lisa is managing the poll. We'll stop it momentarily. We're stopping the poll, and we're going to continue on. (12.2) Functional enhancements. So here are some of the usability improvements. So there's a new Skyros skin incorporating the current UI visual design trends, and some of the samples are provided on the slide. Improved search input to locate a function quickly. We've got rich table interactions, the ability to resize, detach, reorder. There's miscellaneous OAF improvements, such as printing file attachments, improved record history, as well as personalization improvements. 12.2 functional enhancements. There are overall no major changes between 12.1 to 12.2 with regards to financials, procurement, asset tracking, sales, and marketing, and HCM. However, one of the bullets at the end introduces the e-Kanban product as the biggest manufacturing enhancement. So there's literally a new product that's been added. A few long-awaited features have also been released in order management, logistics, such as now the selling subscriptions or tax on freight abilities. And there are also several improvements in projects. This slide presents just a few of the financial changes that were introduced. So the payment acknowledgement import, the ability to do review and manage accounting exceptions with the receivables during the period close, new APIs to do further enhancing and working through the data with receivables. General ledger, there's an integration with Oracle Fusion Accounting Hub, so the ability to do more and more with the general ledger and the reporting and the data. Financial common modules now has scheduling of APAR netting batches. And new legislative and regulatory updates for the CEPA, CNA, Spain, Brazil, India, Portugal, Japan, and Italy. Grants accounting, payables integration enhancements, support for self-assessed tax. Back to the alluding to some of the project changes, so improved project costing, improved project billing, improved project management. You will have access to all the slides, so I won't go into every detail, but some of the examples have been provided here. Procurement. iProcurement now has the ability to automatic updates to encumbrance GL date. There's visibility of item master attachments in item search and detail pages. iSupplier has changes now starting to interact with the e-Kanbans, and I'll show you that in a second. Purchasing, automatic updates to encumbrance GL date as well. Support for additional extension hooks. Changes to procurement contracts. Advanced pricing and order management continue to have further build-outs. So within order management, selling services enhancements include selling subscriptions, enhanced billing for extended warranty, and improved credit card authorization reversal in OM, as well as tax on freight, as noted before, as items that have been long awaited. Logistics. So changes in inventory management, option lot allocation, serial number assignment enhancements, return to vendor enhancements, distributed warehouse management integration, as well as new APIs. There are changes in the mobile supply chain applications. So there's mobile user interface personalization enhancements and changes in warehouse management. Sales and e-commerce, continued build-outs. So enhanced configurator integration with quoting modules, parallel approvals. iStore, there's the carousel view for related products now, product comparison new interface, and support for product cross-references, just to name a few. Calculation performance improvements and territory dimensions are all part of the incentive comp packages. Manufacturing. So the new product that has definitely been added for 12.2 is the e-Kanban. So now you have a graphical user interface for Kanban management that enables planning, setup, execution, and related analytics. and quality continues to be improved. This comes straight out of the Oracle Electronic Kanban User Guide. So samples of the setup screen, you can note that it's going toward more of a graphical visual representation. Asset life cycle management. So the asset management modules have also has a few new features and functions that include safety management, isolation work clearances, lockout and tagout, as well as there's asset tracking changes with the features and functions that are added there that are noted. Service contracts. Usability and configurability, mass update, price, status, dates, all have been added and extended. Configurations-based search when added products. Flexible invoice text defaulting. Revalue versus the reprice when currency changes. Performance, renewal workflow, there's repricing, cascading attributes, great deal of features and functions added to the service contract. The HCM side of the house, there's some extensions or features that were added with payroll, the actual costing of projects, back-out compensation, post-process. There is core HR changes, update person and future person type changes. There's the user star ratings to rate performance and proficiencies in the performance management. And iRecruitment has the multi-location vacancy. Overall, from 11 to 12, only a few features and functions have been added overall to human capital, and the upgrade isn't based on the HCM side. There are major changes around the financial side. Master data management. So Customer Hub has been extended with the view and update source system reference information, view record history for party and account entities, and the web service and APIs to merge customer accounts is there. Product Hub. You've got the enhanced hub and spoke synchronization for telco and other industries now. We're going to take another quick poll to have more understanding. When are you planning on upgrading is the current poll. Lisa will assist again. We'll take a few minutes for folks to be able to answer, and then we'll go right back to the slide. Okay, the poll is closing. Lisa is giving me control. We'll move on. Let's talk a little bit about the implications to Chemleys in 12.2. 12.2, if some of the folks have seen the webinar that Mark Caruso has provided, is that it's mainly a technical upgrade. So 12.2 itself allows for, as we said, online patching. So there are very severe architectural changes that are there due to the ability to do the online patching. There's data model changes, table structure changes, for example, all imply that the Chemleys will need to be changed. File system artifact changes, forms, report changes, seed data changes, menus, DFFs, concurrent program modifications are all there as far as the 12.2. All this implies that there's a new way to take a look at the Chemleys within the 12.2 phase. You now have to, as a developer, have an understanding of the concepts of online patching to be able to integrate with it. Know how to use the online patching readiness report utility. You've got to be able to learn and the new developer rules within the Oracle new developer guidelines. You have to be aware of the changed development procedures. For example, do not use the applications window to register applications in 12.2. You've got to now be able to register modified database objects, understand impacts to the middle tier files. The new deployment procedures also have to be embraced, because you now have to be able to understand how the Chemleys fit into the world of creating patches for each of the deployments. There are 3 essential reference tools for the EBS upgrades. File comparison report, note has been itemized. The data model comparison report, the seed data comparison report. All of this has to be embraced in order to understand how the remediation of the Chemleys will now need to be done to be able to work within the new online patching world of 12.2. You have to enable online patching to upgrade to 12.2.3 is the understanding. You cannot disable the online patching mode. Therefore, there are some steps now that need to be done before the upgrade as well as the upgrade when 12.2 is being considered. Before the upgrade, you have to run the online patching readiness report and fix all violations reported and rerun the report until all issues are resolved. Invest into training of the technical team so that they basically can understand what needs to get done before and after and how to work within 12.2. So after the upgrade, you have to remediate the Chemleys and run addition of the EBS environment following the new development guidelines. You have to create the deployment patches to encompass the Chemleys. And you have to refer to the developer guides for all the detailed instructions. The last poll that we'll be having, I think, for the day, and I think Lisa, again, will take care of running the poll. I'll give it a second for folks to answer the questions. What version are you planning and thinking of going to? Because we're going to be talking about that next. Okay, Lisa's giving me the go-ahead. The poll is done. We're going to continue. So one of the common things that are being asked of us is, do we go 12.1 or do we do 12.2? So the next set of slides, we'll talk to that a little bit. So regardless of which version you move to, you have to upgrade your database to the latest 11G. And I think it's 11G R12 is the current understanding. Remediate your Chemleys if you're going to 12.2 to meet the 12.2 requirements. So that starts to now add to the complexity of the decision of whether 12.1 or 12.2. So you have new guidelines, new requirements, new packaging of 12.2 Chemleys. 12.2 is a bigger initiative in that regard than 12.1. You now have technical and tool changes that impact on infrastructure. You've got Chemley remediation that is a little more complex than it would have been if it was just a 12.1 upgrade. Do you take on a larger initiative in the short term to be covered through 2021, or break the initiative into 2 more manageable pieces? So these are all of the questions that are being asked of us, and the concept is you are going from 11 to 12. The functional components of the financials have changed significantly. You have an end user base that needs to come up to speed on new features, functions within the release 12 world. And the Chemleys would have been remediated appropriately based on existing standards from the world of 11i. Going to 12.2, you now also add the complexity of 11 to 12.2 means end users are now adapting again financials, major changes on the end user layer front end. But as well, now you also have to worry about a technical component and a new way of doing Chemleys. If you are on an 11.5.10.2, upgrade to 12.2 would be supported through 2021. If you're on 12.0, and if you want to upgrade to in 2014, the path of least resistance would be 12.1.3, because you still have time to go to 12.2 before 2021. If you want to upgrade in 2015, as a marker, as a general guideline, you start to want to discuss whether going to 12.2 makes more sense. If you're on 12.1.x, you can start the preparation to have an understanding of how that technical impact, infrastructure, let alone Chemley world, will mean to you, and prepare for the 2021 deadline. If you run 24/7 and the online patching is a feature function that you want to minimize your downtime, then release 12.2 is the more appropriate release. Overall guidance that I think that Oracle also agrees with and we're in alignment with is overall is the choose 12.2 if you're in need of the high availability provided by online patching. You want the features and functions specifically out of 12.2 and prefer to invest in a single project to upgrade directly to 12.2 to not worry about a second regression testing timeframe later on from 12.1 to 12.2. Choose 12.1 if you prefer to target a release with thousands of live customers. Would like to stay on 12.1 for the next 3 to 5 years before upgrading and going through the next regression testing up to going to 12.2. Need to move from release below 11.5.10 with no direct upgrade to 12.2. Overall, data intensity's release 12 upgrade services include the ability to assess the infrastructure if you're going to go to 12.2 with regards to storage, servers, networking. The ability to do functional and development assessments to help with the Chemley's module functionality. Chemley remediation overall. Development standards training, whether it be to 12.1 overall, 12.2 specifically needing new ones. Upgrade planning, management, and execution overall. Proof of concept upgrade. We've done quite a few under 12.1.3 and now it's starting to do 12.2. 12.2 Cloud Vision environments. So we have availability to be able to share a 12.1 and a 12.2 Cloud Vision instance. Why use data intensity? We build standard runbooks and test them in our labs, so we're quite experienced currently already on 12.2. We develop automation for checking and validation. We employ a dedicated 24/7 team of DBAs specifically for upgrades and migrations. We have completed more than 40 R12 upgrades. We can use our cloud to provide capacity, either temporarily or permanently. It allows our teams to grow with the need or shrink depending on what it is they need across the board. Next steps, if you have any specific functional questions, feel free to contact me at mho@dataintensity.com or reach out to the sales team at sales@dataintensity.com or your account executive to get more information about our overall services and what we've already been able to accomplish on either 12.1 or 12.2. I think we're done a little early, but if you've got questions and answers, we have ample time to go through them now. And I'm going to going through the questions. Give me a second to go through them with. So I have one question that says, I have to get off 11i for many reasons, so if I do this year, does it make sense to go to 12.2 or wait? Depending on the functionality that you're after, if the online patching is critical, then I recommend going to 12.2. If it is if you're after just getting off 11i, going to 12.1.3, 12.1.3 to 12. 12.1.3 would allow a predictable timetable to get you to release 12. Can you talk a little more about the development standards training you offer? We have developed a one-day introductory that lets you understand what the changes are that are coming in 12.2. It goes through the documents that I had itemized in my slides, so that they basically will show you examples of what it used to be in 11i and what you need to do for 12.2 within the guidelines, as well as where the patching deployment grouping. Can you provide an example of a development Camly that would need to change? High-level example. Synonyms. A great deal of the Camly now goes into synonyms, and so that, I think, kind of sums it up at a high level. With regards to localization, is there any difference among 12.1 and 12.2? I mean, we have the same functionality in 12.2 as we have in 12.1? Yes. So there's a few more features and functions having to do with some of the localizations that were also itemized in my slides. But 12.2 is mainly a technical upgrade where most of the technical infrastructure has changed within 12.2. Features, functions, modules between 12.1 itself and 12.2 are similar. How painful for users will it be to migrate all the way from 11.5 to 12.2? So pain can be defined in many ways. Users will see the same features, functions going from 11.5 to 12.1.3 to 12.2. The functional financial world has changed drastically. The reason to go to 12.2 is if you need minimize the online patching, minimize the downtime, and you want to leverage the online patching. The pain comes into play where if you focus 11.I to 12.1.3, one community is not affected as much. The end user community is affected by both. But if you're going to 12.1.3, the users are where you would focus on the project. You would not need to focus on infrastructure. Even the Camly remediation becomes pretty standard. So you avoid a community of that base of users that would not be affected until you go to 12.2. If you go 11I to 12.2 directly, then you have the pain of working with the users being accommodated and working within the new features and functions of the financial changes that have all changed, and the ChemLE, the developers, and making their world, and their world has changed, and the infrastructure on the DB side as far as storage, etc. So hopefully I answered that question. I assume that if I upgrade to 12.1.3, upgrading to 12.2 is easier from there. Correct. The end user community has already been exposed and is understanding of the release 12 financial and new look and feel. So it becomes more of, you still have to do a full regression with the users, but you're not training on them on the new release 12 features, functions, new look and feel. You're focused on the technical and the ChemLE remediation side. I assume that if I upgrade to 12.1.3, upgrading to 12.2 is easier from there. Oh, sorry, hopefully I answered that question. Also, how painful will it be for the data and customization? So if it's 11I to 12.1.3, customization is pretty straightforward. There are tool sets that are already certified on 12.1.3, let alone our tool sets that we have internally that will itemize exactly where the change in code needs to be. If you're going to 12.2, you have a whole new set of guidelines, deployment plans, and infrastructure with the ChemLEs that you need to identify and work through. How do you define online patching as critical? Sorry if I don't understand that question, but I'll take my best stab at it. So the online patching is what you would want if you want to minimize any kind of patching moving forward. The ability to have online patching within an upgrade doesn't affect the upgrade down window. So, but if you were to have constant patching needs and downtime is essential that you minimize at all times, so you don't have a maintenance window. You're global. You have operations that are shipping and working 24/7 around the world. Online patching becomes a critical need for you to be able to get to and wanting 12.2. And I apologize if I don't have that answer or that question appropriately understood. Feel free to send me emails and I'll follow up. Is any additional hardware disk space needed for 12.2? The answer is yes. Is the itemized listing of functionality that you listed by application things that are available just in 12.2, or are those items also available in 12.1? The items that I listed specifically in my screens are the delta that are now in 12.2, not 12.1. Do users experience any change in I don't see that one too well on the screen. Sorry, I apologize. I'll move to the next one. And again, if I'm missing a question, feel free to email me and I will get you answers. Do I need to worry about purging and archiving data before I upgrade? Purging and archiving is an element of wanting to minimize the upgrade window. Data Intensity has done a great many upgrades across the board to already minimize a great deal of the window of the upgrade downtime, but purging and archiving is always potential to further decrease it and size it appropriately, and it's a good time to clean, but is it a mandatory? No. Do I need to worry about purging and archiving? I think we've answered that one. Again, if I have not answered the question appropriately, feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you answers. What about a new implementation? It will take a year to go live. Will you recommend to go to 12.2 straightforward? Yes, in general, correct? So if you're doing an implementation that will take you past that 2015 mark, then you already are approaching the 12.1.3 extended support timeframe. And since the Chemly development is very different and the infrastructure is different, you should target what 12.2 would require to keep you going past the 12.16 current date. How does an upgrade to Fusion play into these upgrade scenarios? 12.2.2 Fusion, 12.1.3 to Fusion. So, and if I'm reading this correctly, I'm hoping I'm understanding it's the Fusion applications. So Fusion applications are starting to be available as additional ways of getting to features and functions. Currently, it's not a replacement. For example, if you have EBS HR, you do not go straight to Fusion Core HR. Oracle is sending different notices out of that folks should just continue to watch for. But currently, there are Fusion applications that will, specifically, for example, the BI reporting side, that allows you to grab data on the financials that are in their Fusion applications and help work together with the EBS solutions. Is it possible to get a copy of this presentation? Yes. So Lisa will be publishing the pointer to the slides to all of the attendees. So you should be receiving that. Give her a couple of days, if not a week, to get that done. Is there a GL patch for the GL journal form? How is the user affected who is entering a journal entry while performing online patching? I apologize. I do not know that answer. I will be able to get you an answer. I will work through Lisa to ensure that that is answered. Is everything that integrates with Oracle certified on 12.2? Oracle has released 12.2 only as of September, so that there are a great many third-party tools that are yet to be certified, and we expect those to be certified later in the year for a great many, but I think some will bleed into the new year, into the following year. I'm reviewing the questions to see if I've answered them all. If not, please feel free to restate the question, and I will answer.
I think that's all the questions we have. So thanks, Martha. It looks like that's all the time we have as well. If we didn't get to your question here, we'll follow up with you directly after the session. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. You'll receive an email that contains a link to the session recording as soon as it is available. And on behalf of Martha and Data Intensity, thank you again for attending. Goodbye.